What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Caitlin of Macros and Metcons. You can check us out at macrosandmetcons.com. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about some habits that I teach my clients how to do so that they can meet their strength, aesthetic, whatever their goals are. So we've got 4 habits and we'll go ahead and get started. So the first habit that I teach my clients how to do is to eat slowly. Now, it sounds a little bit silly, but I can guarantee you if you really take the time to sit down, eat a meal, eat it slowly, you will learn so much about how much and what you're eating. Now, we all live really busy, distracted lives, and we eat fast and we rarely take the time to actually savor our food, which is why I teach my clients how to do this. So eating slowly can help you realize that you're actually full. We slow down, we chew every bite, we can actually take time to appreciate what we're eating, and that just feels good. So not only that, but eating slower can actually help with digestion, and it takes the brain about 20 minutes to send out a "you're full" signal. So when you're taking time to eat slowly, your brain actually has time to catch up. A couple of things that you can do to help practice eating slowly is putting your meal on a plate and actually sitting down at the table to eat it without distractions. That means turn off the TV, turn off your phone, appreciate every bite, actually savor your food. The other tip that I have for you is to set some sort of a goal for your meal. How many chews per bite are you going to take? How long is it going to take you to eat your food? Maybe you set a timer for 15 or 20 minutes, maybe even longer. And just take that time to really savor each bite. Really, all of what this comes down to is setting aside time to eat. Again, we are super rushed. We eat on the go all the time. Don't take the time to savor our food, but fueling your body is important. It deserves an appointment. The second habit I teach my clients is how to cook. Now, I am not a fancy chef by any means. I don't necessarily go into everybody's kitchens and teach them how to cook. But what I do encourage them to do is to start with one meal at a time. So maybe you get breakfast dialed in first. Keep it super simple. Think eggs, toast, maybe some sort of veggie, water, definitely. And then you can build upon that with each meal. So maybe you get breakfast dialed in, you take the time to do that for a week, then the next week you move on to lunch, and then the next week you move on to dinner. And again, keep it super simple. If it's lunch, think maybe sandwich or a salad. For dinner, pick a protein, a vegetable or 2, some sort of starchy option like pasta or sweet potato, and you have a really nice, well-rounded meal there. So when you cook, you have full control over what goes into your meals. You know, meals at restaurants or from takeaway can be loaded with extra calories. Maybe they're cooked in butter or fats, oils, fillers. Those add up really quickly, especially if you're eating out several times a week. The other thing I encourage them to do when they're learning how to cook is to get curious. Get on YouTube, look up, healthy recipes or easy recipes. YouTube, Instagram, good old Google is full of recipes that have macros and calories on them so you can really dial in how much you're eating and then just follow everything step by step. Another way you can learn how to cook or teach yourself how to cook is just to copy restaurant meals. If you love Chipotle bowls, as an example, have you ever thought about how you can recreate that at home? You probably can. It's pretty simple. Rice, beans, veggies, some sort of protein, maybe some salsa or guacamole. And you can really create it to your liking and your taste. So you can crank up the spice if you want. You can add some cheese if you want. Again, learning how to cook at home for yourself is imperative, especially if you're on any sort of nutrition journey. The third habit I teach my clients how to do, and really what I teach them how to do from the beginning as they're learning these other habits, is to track everything that they're eating. Now, most of them track in some sort of an app like MyFitnessPal, Macros Plus, or Chronometer. They're all free and they have huge databases of foods. But the important part about tracking everything that you're eating and drinking is that you're looking to create an awareness of how much and what exactly you are eating. It can feel a little bit daunting at first, but you're gonna break this down the same way you broke down the last two habits. So in the last habit, maybe you stuck with breakfast first, start tracking your breakfast first. See how that feels, get an idea of how much you're eating, and then boom, you can move on to lunch and you can move on to dinner. The most important thing about tracking your food is that you're learning how to make different choices. Now, we all make choices every single day when it comes to what we're eating and drinking. And really, I try to teach my clients that there's no good and bad foods. Foods are not polarizing like that. Food is just food. However, what you can work on doing is making what I call good, better, best decisions. So maybe a good decision is having a burrito for lunch. That sounds awesome. Maybe, depending on what your goals are, a better decision might be leaving off the tortilla or adding in some extra protein. Best decision might be adding extra veggies, protein, maybe you're leaving off the rice, something like that. And again, this all kind of depends on what your goals are. And what I really encourage my clients to do is to look at all of their decisions as good, better, best. None of them are bad. So when you start tracking your food, what we're really looking for, again, is awareness here. We're not necessarily looking to change anything right off the bat, but just to create an awareness and a baseline of how much and what you're eating. Take notice of certain things. Maybe every time you walk by the break room, you grab a mini Snickers bar, or maybe you realize that you're only including protein in one meal of your day. These are all things that you can notice and make an adjustment as you go. The fourth habit I teach my clients, really no matter what their goals are, is to include protein with each meal. Now, protein looks different for a lot of people, but most of us have an idea that it's usually animal proteins, chicken, meat, fish, something like that. The most common adjustments my clients first make is including more protein in their diets. You'd be really surprised in how many people are not eating enough protein for their goals. Getting enough protein is one of the most important changes you can make when it comes to your physique and making any sort of improvements to it. Now, to get a little sciencey for just a second here, proteins are organic molecules made up of amino acids. They are literally the building blocks of life. Since our bodies need proteins and amino acids to produce important molecules in our body, like enzymes, hormones, neurotransmitters, and antibodies, without an adequate protein intake, our bodies aren't functioning very well. So, like I mentioned before, we get protein primarily from meat and other animal products, but even if you don't eat meat, you can still make it a priority to get optimal amounts of protein. So the next question people ask me is, how much protein should I be eating? Well, to prevent a deficiency, you can eat as little as 0.4 grams of protein per pound of body weight. As an example, a 150-pound person could consume about 60 grams of protein a day to prevent deficiency. However, that's not necessarily optimal. Again, we are looking to be the best versions of ourselves, and a lot of times that takes a little bit more protein intake than just the minimal amount. Athletes who train regularly and train really hard are going to need more protein. Maybe you're new to exercise, but you still want to eat more than the minimal amount for ideal body composition changes. So a better amount for most people is going to be about 0.64 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. In our example before, for a 150-pound person, that means they should be eating closer to 95 to 150 grams of protein per day. And that comes down to really preference. So if you love eating protein with every meal, if you have no problem getting it in, you can probably stray towards the higher side. If you're maybe vegetarian or you're not used to eating that much protein or something like that, you can stray towards the lower side and you will probably be just fine. Keep in mind, some protein sources will have a higher fat content than others, and I'm not going to get all into macronutrients today, but it's definitely something to keep in mind because a lot of our meat products especially are going to have a higher fat content. We want to be on the lookout for those things, especially if the goal is weight loss. So to summarize, our 4 habits to improve your nutrition practices is to, number 1, eat slowly. Number 2 is to cook for yourself. Number 3 is to track everything that you're eating and drinking. And number 4 is to include protein in every meal. I can confidently say that if you practice these 4 habits, you will see improvements not only to your nutrition, but probably to your everyday life. Now, if you love this video, make sure you hit our subscribe link, turn on the notification bells. We've got a lot of great stuff rolling out for you guys. And if you're interested in working with us, go ahead and hit www.macrosandmetcons.com and send us a contact email. Have an awesome day.